Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 13 of our WCW 1998 save in TEW 2020. This is our state of WCW for February 1998, and this is what I think is the first one we've done in terms of the state ofs in this save because we've only had one pay-per-view. But if you've watched some of the other saves on the channel, WWE, AEW, you know at the end of each month, at the start of a new month, what we do is we go through and kind of, go beyond just the storylines and the shows themselves, and we look at ratings and look at all this different stuff to kind of dive into the game a little bit deeper. So, we look at popularity ratings for wrestlers. We look at, the different size ratings, schedules, all this kind of stuff. So that's what this is kind of going to be, to give you a better idea of where things stand after, the month of shows that we've had. So let's jump into it. Of course, if you haven't watched Sold Out yet, I would highly suggest that. And yes, we did have comments were a lot of fun with this one, but we did have 74,000 fans in attendance for Sold Out. We did have a great show, and again, I would definitely check that out if you haven't watched that show yet. A lot of big matches, and it turned out very, very well. All right, before we get to the popularity ratings and all that, let's look at the state of our company itself. Our size right now in the USA is 86 across the board. If we look at our progress, we actually dropped one from last month. But the good news is, if we look at, and I mentioned this on the last one, if we look at kind of where the companies are at right now, it still has total fan base is WWF still number one, WCW number two. But this is something that I don't remember what I was looking at, and someone pointed out in the comments, and they were absolutely correct in that the battles, actually, the last area battles won by us because we had a pretty good month of shows. And so, you kind of look at where the WWF's at, look at where WCW's at. We'll look at the WWF real quick. They've had, you look at some of their shows thus far, and, Raw is doing okay. The Rumble was their big show. They had a 67. We pointed that out. I don't know what the hell they were doing at the Rumble, and I know people have kind of, pointed out the issues at times with the computer booking in this game. But Triple H, winning DQ, retaining the European title. The Undertaker won the Rumble. Then they have this, Blackjack Wyndham winning a 10 wrestler battle royal to main event that show. I'm not sure what's going on, but you kind of look at the Raws, and basically they've stayed in the 70s. So that's where they're at in terms of the WWF. If you want to look at kind of their shows overall, they've had one 80 or better show, and we've had a lot of those. So that's kind of helped match-wise. They've done a pretty good job. They've had the 90 here with Austin and Taker beating Kane and Jarrett and our National Wrestling Alliance team there. But for the most part, not a whole lot to say about the WWF in the first month, because we, on the other hand, if you look at us and what we've accomplished in the first month, we've done a pretty good job here overall. Obviously, Saturday night shows have been brutal, but who cares about that? But our best show the month to date was our pay-per-view, so that certainly helps. We look at our top matches. We've had some pretty good matches, although I think, again, we've had a lot of good matches. I don't think we've had a ton of great matches just yet, but Hogan and Sting, of course, being the top one there thus far. But so that's where, like I said, this game is a little bit different than like our WWE save, which is the main save on the channel, because we have no competition there. But this, like, we are in a full blown war here with the WWF, and so that makes it a lot more interesting, I think, in terms of what we do. All right, let's look at the creative. I usually go to the events first, but we're going to save that because that is where we're going to talk about what could be a very significant change to this save moving forward. But let's look at this. Look, our top two are, what do you know, Sting and Hogan, right? Remember, we did remove Sting as our figurehead, and we'll look at that here in just a second. And he wasn't happy about that, but the reason why is because he was a terrible figurehead. He was losing his 10% attendance and all this stuff, but he's still very over, and we'll look at the popularity ratings shortly. But Sting and Hogan is our top two. That's not going to surprise anyone. These are the people still set in the next big things. I don't think this has changed since we started the save. 6, X-Pac, Sean Waltman, he's at the top. We've got, Reese here, Alex Wright, Hector Garza. Hot prospects. I mean, this is a hell of a group here. Ray, Six, Regal, Giant, Wright. And, we've regularly featured Ray, Regal, and Giant thus far. Not exactly Alex Wright, but it's wild to think, though, that Ray was 23 years old at this time. Giant was still only 25. Just remarkable. Alex Wright, 22. So these things here, that is what it is. Momentum, Goldberg at the top right now, which you would think makes sense because, well, he has a big long streak going of wins. Hogan right there still. He is now our WCW World Heavyweight Champion, which I know we'll talk about in a second, the reason behind me doing that. DDP, he's off to a good start here. Everything pretty much DDP's been in has done well. Giant, we talked about the debacle and sold out, even though he loses by DQ because Nash would not put him over. Still, he's got a lot of momentum. And Sting, still with a lot of momentum despite losing in the World Heavyweight Championship match. Meanwhile, Bret Hart still has no momentum. Now, this was put into the mod. My guess is, and I didn't make the mod, but I assume this was kind of based on, leaving the WWF, and he is one that since the save started, he has been in this, little or no forward momentum. I think we'll get that changed pretty soon. But yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm not that worried about it. And then Larry Z in here too. So Zbyszko, of course, lost that match to Hall at Sold Out. So hidden gems, if we're looking at some people that are out there, Tom Howard, that is going to be the future Vampiro. He's in there at the top of this list. Of course, the Sandman's there, and all of these different guys. So there's a look at that. We look at the state of our storylines. Because of where we are, current style and kind of our popularity, we need at least 5 storylines with 65 heat. Cruiserweight Chaos is doing well, 77, and these are about to change because we're going through a new pay-per-view cycle. Remember, I kept a lot of these that were already in there, but you'll start to see some changes to this because we were just trying to get through that first month of shows to kind of build off of some of the already set storylines, but then we created our own. Of course, Giant versus Giant, what a debacle. I mean, really, it's Kevin Nash, unbelievable. But still, a hot storyline here. Goldberg streaks dropped down to 64, actually, but we'll get that back up. Hall and Zbyszko wins at 73. The NWO, WCW War, 73. TV title didn't do great. But, Luger and Savage did well. And then, of course, our top one is the world title triangle, which now, looks a little bit more defined as to knowing what our main event's going to be at Super Brawl. All right, let's look at actually let's go ahead and do the events, then we'll do the popularity. So I've teased a significant change, right? And I've been teasing this for a little while now. What I would prefer to do, and I don't know exactly how this will affect the game itself. I don't think it's going to cause us to go on a downward spiral or anything. If we do this, just in terms of the war against the WWF. But to be able to move through this save a little bit faster, and for my own, being able to book these shows and not feel like it's like WWE 2022, that save, part 2, meaning I'm booking 2 different A shows a week in that save. I have certainly now considered the possibility that we drop Thunder. Now, that would mean, we would have 1 main show a week with Nitro. We would move through the save much quicker from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. That is my preferred option. And then we would just keep Saturday nights as our B show, and that would be that. Now, there are obviously drawbacks to this. If we do make this change, we're talking, we'd only have 4 shows building up a pay-per-view every month, which means we would jam a lot into each of the shows, which I'm actually okay with. There may be guys that don't get as much TV time on the lower mid-card side, which, again, it is what it is. But I just think right now, logistically, I'm trying to figure out how to best approach this because we could go into the editor, we could just take this out altogether, or we could just find a way to tweak it. But, I guess it's like, if you listen to all the people who actually back, I think Bischoff was one of the ones too that was talking about just how having Thunder was one of the worst decisions WCW could have made. Now, again, I'm not trying to play this exactly how it was in 1998. I'm trying to play this in terms of giving you guys a a quality series. And I think we will be able to better do that because, again, booking these 2 A shows per week without like a brand split, right? And that's what we're doing in the WWE one. It's a little bit different because it's basically a different show because Raw and SmackDown are different. I have different rosters. But like booking these 4 hours of TV every week with these 2, which again, I know it sounds like I'm like, but I think we're keeping it in the context of my goal with this is to be able to move through this series faster than I am. And I think by just having Nitro as our 2-hour show, which quite honestly, we could even extend to 2.5 hours here or 3 hours. I'm fine with that. But I think just doing one show will be much easier than me putting together 2 A shows that, combined for however many segments, like probably 40 something segments a week. So I think that's my plan here. So if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see with that, let me know in the comments because I think it's something that we will try to do. And I don't know if it is, just as easy as going into the broadcasters trying to cancel the deals. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work, but because I feel like maybe that's not the best way to do it, and maybe the best way is just to go in, cancel the contracts altogether in the editor, and just wipe Thunder out, period. Because Thunder's on, like I thought about, could we turn Thunder into the B show and then just get rid of Saturday night, get rid of WCW Saturday night? But I think the problem with that's going to be, Thunder's on TBS. It's on, a big show. We know kind of what is necessary, I think, like quality-wise. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I think that's just something I would like to do. So any suggestions you have on that, let me know. If you're for it, if you're against it, I would think a lot of you guys will probably be for this because it will allow me to put out more videos probably a bit quicker in this series, and that's kind of my goal here. And again, I just because I'm running 3 different series right now concurrently, this one is starting to, I don't want to say feel like a chore, but it's the same as the WWE one, except we don't have the full brand split to where it's just kind of trying to do it that way. So I'm thinking about that. I don't know how, like I said, it impacts the save in terms of like our size and those kind of things. WWF's booking very poorly, so I'm not worried about losing to the WWF at this point. But that is something that I'm really considering, and I think that's what we're going to do. But if you guys have any suggestions on which way to do that, should we just go into the editor and just get rid of Thunder and the contracts and the broadcasting and all that? I think that's the easiest way to do it. But yeah, let me know what you think on that. So that is something I think that would be beneficial for moving us through this save quicker. Although, like I said, it will change the booking a little bit because we will be jamming a lot into those 4 Nitros. But that's kind of what it was, right? Like during the Attitude Era, there was just so much good stuff in terms of like big matches on TV versus, just kind of dragging it out and waiting for the pay-per-view. So, yeah, let me know what you think on that. All right, let's move on now to our popularity ratings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this by perception. So we'll start with major star, we'll work down to star, then well-known. We probably won't go beyond that because I don't think those are that important at the moment. All right, Hogan has now jumped all the way up to the mid-90s here. And if we look at what that means for him, not a huge jump from last month, but certainly a significant jump because he did win the WCW title. It sold out. So now he's in the mid-90s. And I want to say this quickly because I want to, and I don't know, I think I probably didn't do a good job of saying this. I've said it in my other saves, but this one, because it's a historical save, I don't want this to come across as like I'm trying to rebook WCW as it should have been. I'm doing this the same way I've done the WWE and AEW ones in terms of like, in my mind, like we're starting with a clean slate from the start of the save, meaning we will refer to some elements of history, which we did in WCW more so because we had some starting storylines that played out from Starrcade and all that. But I'm not necessarily, I'm not going back and watching the entire WCW 1997 pay-per-views to have every little tiny history point moving forward. So basically, for me, the reason I decided, and I don't think I said this in the pay-per-view, the reason I decided to put the belt on Hogan is because, for one, it's going to be part of a much longer storyline that I already have mapped out for quite a while. And that's just where it was at. And number 2, I'll be honest with you. I initially was going to put the belt on Sting. Part A, Hogan didn't want to do the job. I didn't mention that. It sold out. But I didn't really. It's Hogan, right? And he's not going to job to anyone, especially when his popularity is this high. And now we've kind of created maybe a double-edged sword here where Hogan's the champion. I don't know who the hell this guy's going to drop the belt to, but I do have a plan for that. And I think it's going to work out fine. But, that's one issue. The other issue for me, and this was just deciding myself on how to move forward, one of the part of like the historical aspect of this is I thought WCW just completely they just destroyed Sting at Starrcade '97 with that an abomination of a finish. And I think it destroyed any momentum he had the entire year they built him up. And that's just my own personal opinion. So for me, I don't know. Like I was just the more I looked at this, I was thinking for some reason I was just like I think I'm going to put it on Hogan for now, but this is like I said part of a much longer storyline, and I kind of want to do this my own way in terms of not trying to exactly book it how WCW would have booked it, and all that. So I've got some ideas in place for that. So I think it probably was a little surprising that some people I know mentioned in the comments, but that I did put the belt on Hogan here and not Sting, because again, if this was reality, I would have 100% put the belt on Sting. But I think in terms of the game here and the stories that I want to put in motion, I think putting it on Hogan was the move I needed to make it more interesting, because I was not in. Again, we're not drawing on everything historically in this save. We're not trying to rebook it as what WCW should have done. We're just looking at this as a blank slate for us to book moving forward and to have the most enjoyment with the game. And I keep thinking back to what they did to Sting. And he should have just destroyed Hogan at Starrcade, and it didn't happen. But nonetheless, and that was a long-winded way to go around my explanation for Hogan winning. But the point is, Sting loses the match, but yet his popularity goes up significantly. He's up now to the mid-90s. So I think that, Sting's going to be fine. So it's okay that he's not the champion at the moment, because we certainly are not going to forget about Sting, and he's going to play a very big role in everything we have moving forward, probably for the next, based on where I've booked out to, probably 6 months or so, at least. So, there's a lot in store for our friend Sting here, but his popularity takes a huge jump. And again, he's still got a lot of momentum. Everything is going to work out just fine for Sting. But that was kind of my reasoning for putting it on Hogan. And like I said, I think the reason I put it on Hogan is because the one match that, we never really got was Hogan versus Brett in terms of the WCW run, and that capitalizing on Brett's momentum right off the bat. And that's just something that I wanted to do. And we get to Brett here in our next tier of guys. But yeah, that's why we're doing that. And trust me, I know the NWO for a lot of people had run its course at this point. But again, we're not necessarily basing this off of just what happened in reality. We're starting with our own blank slate here, and we're moving forward with that, adding in the history where necessary. But I'm not trying to rebook everything over as WCW did it, if that makes sense. Because then I could just go back and watch WCW in 1998, and that would be that. So, Brett, a huge jump here. This is great because we know Brett is going to now challenge Hogan for the WCW World Title at Super Brawl. So Brett with a huge, up 10 points here, 11 in some spots. So he's up there now in the top tier. Great month for Brett coming in, but he still has that cool momentum, as we said. So our top three guys, Hogan, Sting, Brett, they're going to still be our top three guys. They're going to be in the main stuff moving forward. So DDP, our U.S. heavyweight champion, he's in the mid-70s, so not really a whole lot of change for DDP this month. Goldberg, meanwhile, his popularity goes up a little bit, not a ton. Nash, oh gosh, we gotta get Nash's popularity down, because this guy doesn't want to lose to anyone. Great, he goes up 4 points. Great, now we got even more ego to deal with here. Obviously, I'm just playing around, but Nash really, he pissed me off at Sold Out, not losing to the Giant. Luger, see where Luger's at. Luger's jumped up pretty good. He had the win over Savage at Sold Out, so that's good for Luger. That's nice to see. Savage, I think he made quite a jump here. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, Savage made quite a jump. So even in the loss to Luger, it's sold out. He jumps up, at the highest point, a good 7 points here in popularity. Nice to see. Flair, I don't remember where Flair was when we started. So he makes another jump. So yeah, everyone's heading in the right direction. So I don't think we're by no means destroying WCW with any moves we've made thus far. And let's look at the well-known group here. Arn is still there. By the way, we haven't seen Arn yet. You will see Arn at some point soon. Arnold, that is our user character. Arnold has not wrestled yet. Maybe Arnold versus Hogan. Maybe that's the match that's we need to get to. Kurt Hennig is going to be, Kurt's about the same. He hasn't been used a lot. We put him in that spot against Goldberg. That to me was better than anything else we could have done. So let's see. Everyone else here is kind of staff members. Larry, I don't think Larry's really changed a whole lot. He's had a couple matches. Yeah. So let's see. Piper's still there. We haven't used Piper yet. He'll be coming in soon. Hall, let's see where Hall is at this point. So wow, yeah. So Hall took a big jump. I don't know why Hall was only at 67 when we started this, but yeah, that was just where he was. I guess in the mod, but yeah, he's rightfully now jumped up into the upper 70s. The Giant could have been higher if he would have been allowed to beat Nash, but we couldn't have that, could we? So yeah, he really hasn't moved a lot in this. So let's see if there's anyone else. We will get to some of this. How about some of these cruiserweight guys here? Booker. Let's see if Booker's had any significant changes. Yeah, he jumped up a little bit. Our TV champion. Buff's not really worth noting. Jericho. I have nothing against Buff, but he just hasn't done a whole lot to warrant any big changes. Jericho actually dropped one here, but he did lose that match to Malenko, or he's lost multiple matches to Malenko. But Davey Boy still on the roster, everyone. His contract ends Monday, week 2, February. So you better believe. And he's very angry because we've had him lose, and we've tried to take his momentum away. And as I said, I'm a big Davey Boy fan, but I think we did the job in month 1 because we took this poor guy's momentum down a lot, and we dropped him 9 popularity points before he hits the WWF. So I'm not doing this with any sort of maliciousness towards Davey Boy. I'm doing it with malicious intent towards the WWF. So just want to keep that in mind. But we got one more week to use him. Do you think I'm going to use him? You know the answer to that. Malenko let's see here. Malenko jumps up good. Yeah, he had a nice big pay-per-view win, so that makes sense. But you see the theme here. Eddie jumps up a point. Jericho, Malenko, Eddie, those kind of guys are all in the mid-50s, and we need to really kind of get those guys jumping up a bit. But I think we'll do that. We have some good things here. I'm looking down. Is there anyone else really of note? We didn't really use Conan a whole lot last month, but we got some plans for him. But yeah, he didn't really move up any. I don't think. Raven, I guess, is notable, just given the TNT title, the TV title situation. He jumped up a point here. Ray, I think Ray's probably had a nice jump. Yeah, Ray's jumped up. But remember, we did put Ray basically in a squash match over Davey Boy. We just listen, as we said, we have our own deal there. So Ray jumped up. That's good. Rick Steiner jumps up 1. Saturn, we haven't really done much with Saturn, have we? He jumped up a couple. He had the matches with Booker. Scott Steiner, 59. I don't remember where Scott was when we started. Wow. So Scott's, I don't know why that is. Scott's dropped down quite a bit here. That's interesting. Because, they've been the champions. I don't know why Scott would drop down that much, but it's fine. All right, that's pretty much your group here. So everyone else is probably very, very low mid-card. So that's a look at the popularity ratings for the roster. And, like I said, it's, I think our title situation right now is very interesting. Eddie's still our Cruiserweight champion. United States champion DDP. Tag team champion still the Steiners. Booker's still our TV champion. And, of course, our world heavyweight champion is Hogan there. So that is kind of where things stand with that. And like I mentioned, I really, the Hogan Sting situation, I thought so much about which way I wanted to go with that, and I changed it multiple times, but at the end, I think it was something that, for my playing this game and, doing a series that may be entertaining for you guys, I just felt like the move was for now to put it on Hogan, even though in reality, I would not have done that. I just think, though, from a game standpoint and for my own entertainment in this whole thing, booking to something like Hogan versus Brad and some of the other things I have in store with that, and with Sting, where I kind of want to try to rebuild Sting. I know that sounds wild because you're thinking, well, this guy's rated in the 90s popularity, but I hated what they did to him at Starrcade '97. So I've got something in mind for our friend the Stinger. So all right, well there you go. That's kind of where things are at on this. We look at kind of the stuff here. In my other saves, I can't really do this because I'm giving away different stuff here, but not really giving away a whole lot. I will say I did sign Jeff Hardy, which is not even going to be a blip on the radar for the next while because we're not going to use him. So that's just worth noting, though. We did sign Jeff, but my goodness, Jeff's very young at this point. So that was just one of those signings we made just to kind of beef up the roster and maybe do some WCW Saturday Night stuff with those guys eventually. But that's probably a year down the road. So not even worried about it now. The figurehead situation, as we said, we did have Sting there and we had to drop him. But yeah, he wasn't doing as well, and it showed us he was losing 10% merchandise attendance was reduced 10% when he was on the shows or something. I don't remember what it was, but look, there's only one guy in this group that could be the figurehead, and that's Hogan. So the only thing against him is he's not a babyface, but he pretty much has everything. So what are we going to do? If we put Hogan as a figurehead, was that going to bump our attendance up to 2.5 million for each show? I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of where things stand on that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that you guys may find interesting on this, but for now, I think that's probably I think that's kind of where we're at. Finance, we made $3.3 million. We're in no danger of going out of business financially either. So if you're a WWF fan, you're rooting for us to go out of business. It's not happening. We're going to stay in business for a while here. All right, so there you go. There's the state of WCW for February 1998. We just have some fun with these episodes. These are fun to do. Just going kind of behind the scenes of the booking and the shows we've done, and this is usually a lot of fun. But again, our biggest assignment coming out of this is to figure out what we want to do with Thunder. My vote is to get rid of it. I don't want to do 2A shows each week without a brand split, because I think that keeps it fresh for me with the WWE save. It's just having two different rosters to work with, completely different storylines. But I don't know. And I know it's again, it sounds kind of counterproductive probably, where it's you have a lot more time. You got 8 shows to build up a pay-per-view. You can use that time for a lot more different stuff. But I think I'm thinking more Attitude Era, where it's just every single week is just going to be a total just wild experience, where we just get so much stuff jam-packed into it. But that's just kind of, and I also, like I said, I also want to be able to move through this save a little bit quicker, because otherwise this can be it can take us a while to get to the pay-per-views, and I would prefer just to, let's move through this, because this is a historical save, and let's just keep moving through this thing as quickly as we can. So let me know what you guys think. If you're in favor of ditching Thunder, or if you have any other ideas of what we should do with Thunder. Like I said, I don't think we can turn it into a B show. I think that's going to present some issues. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe we can do that in the editor too, though, and just get rid of Saturday Night, make Thunder the B show. But I'm curious just with where it's at on the different broadcasting channels. I don't know if that's going to work, but maybe I'm overthinking that. So there you go. There is the state of WCW for February 1998, and now looking forward, we will have Super Brawl as our next pay-per-view. We already know our main event for that. It's going to be Hollywood Hogan defending the WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Bret Hart, and that's going to be something. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and check out the WWE and AEW saves we have going on. We're on the march to 100 episodes in our WWE save. Our AEW one, we got a lot of fun stuff going on there as we're on the road to All Out. And also, as I teased before, I've got something else in the works that I think you guys are going to enjoy. It's something that I haven't seen anyone else do, but it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And if you enjoy these, actually, this is probably a good way to tease it. If you enjoy these kind of episodes, like the just kind of free-flowing conversation, looking at different things and all this, I think it is something you will enjoy. So I will leave it at that. But again, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything that we do have coming up. So thanks as always for watching, and on the next episode of our WCW 1998 save, it will be Nitro for February week 1.